Okay, this video is about how to do a fade-in slide. So the other video I talked about how code will fade in to the next scene. This one's going to do this is using code, but it's going to fade in, and that's like a square that will fade in and slide to the right to move to the next room. So every time you move to the next room, it'll fade in and slide to the right, the square. Let me demonstrate here, and then I'll explain. Alright, so you have the character right here, and you go into this green door to go to the next room. Fades into the next room using the square effect transition. And then you fall and you die. Alright, so let me show you how to do that. So the door here is just a green door, nothing special, and set it to visible, depth at -200. There's a script involved here. So I created a script, and it says var fade semicolon and fade equals instance create parentheses 0, 0, object side fade, and it's called scr side fade. Then fade dot goal equals argument 0, and then semicolon. Alright, so this is the first step in order for the code to for this code to work. I don't know the specifics on why they use this type of code. I just looked it up, I researched it on the computer, and they said that the information, and I'll put the link up there too, so you can. The guy explains a little better than I do, and but I'll put the link up there, and he explains it through the YouTube, of course. So if you want a better explanation on why this code is used to make this fade in to work, you can watch this video. But I will post all this code up on YouTube and give you the GMX file so you can play around with it after downloading it. So this is the first part. You need to develop a script for it. Then the second part is called object underscore slide fade. That has to correspond to the script here, which says object underscore slide fade. So it has to correspond to that in order for this code to work. It's got to be linked up together with one another. Alright, so the depth has to be -1, 2, or has to be really high above everything else. And you want to make sure it's make sure persistence checked, so that way it fades into each. The persistent, make sure that it fades into each room. So every time you move to the next room, it'll do the fade slide across. If you don't have the persistent to work, then it's probably only going to work for the first room, and that's it. So make sure you have it checked with persistent. So you go to add event, do the create, then you grab over a coded sheet from the control tab, and you're going to state this: right equals 0, left equals 0, and then stage 2 equals 0. So I know this, I'm not sure what stage 2 does. I think that talks about moving to the next room, and you have the left and right. So basically the transition is going to go from left to right. So that's what it originates from left to right. So when it starts out, it's at 0, so it's not going to move. That's why it's at 0. And then in the stage 2, I believe that's talking about for each room that it's going to happen in, pretty much. And then you have a draw event, and this is the biggest code right here, the big chunk right here. So this talks about the color you want the transition to be. Fuchsia is like a purplish color. You can make it black if you wanted to. Like I said, you can choose from all these colors here that GameMaker has already built in. So you can choose any of them. I'll just do a black so you can see it better on the screen. The var x1, x2, y1, y2. all this information right here talks about the views, X view, Y view. It's pretty much talking about the size of how the square is going to be. You need you need the square to be and stretch to the full screen. It needs to be a certain length, and this code right here basically ensures that it's going to cover the whole screen. All this code that's stated here for the left and right side, when it moves from the left to right, it needs to be a certain size, and it's coded where it should stretch. So if you make the room a lot larger than what if you make the room a lot larger than what I have set up in here, then it should automatically scale to that size. The right and left, this is talking about the speed pretty much on how fast you want the transition to move across the screen. So I have mine set to 50. Okay. Then you have the draw rectangle. So this also talks about how big you want the square to be. And then it talks about how it's going to move to the next room. Every time you hit that green square door, it's going to go to the next room. And then after the transition moves from right to left, it's going to be destroyed. So otherwise, because if you don't have it destroyed, then it's going to keep repeating and like a loop, and it might crash your Android, your device on your Android. It may crash. So you want to make sure it destroys after the transition moves from left to right. It's going to destroy after it's done moving from left to right on your screen. Then it'll be destroyed. Then move to the next room. And stage 2 is in there. And let's see. Then, okay, and then your character, once he hits the door, it's going to switch the door to the object slide fade, which is this icon here, this black square. So every time you hit that door, it's going to switch. It's going to switch the door into the object slide fade, and then it's going to do that transition effect. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.